Hey friends, what's up? Phillip here with Points with Phillip, and I'm actually here to talk to you about hotels. Now, we all know hotels, everyone has to stay at them, but I think that we might actually have the best premium hotel credit card with the American Express Platinum. Now, before you go anywhere, we're going to get into it, but I wanted to ask you guys to go ahead and like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube know that what I'm doing is helpful for you guys. And, honestly, that really is very helpful to me. Right? I know what kind of videos are well received and kind of do well with your feedback. And so, that really helps me to get better, and it helps YouTube to kind of figure out what needs to go out there. So thanks so much for doing that. And once again, if you are a subscriber, I want to say thank you so much for being a supporter. So what I want to do is I want to get into, can the American Express Platinum credit card be the best premium hotel card? So let's get into it. What am I talking about? So I love hotel cards, probably too much. So the right one can give you access to free nights, late checkout, free breakfast, early check-in, free Wi-Fi, free premium Wi-Fi, among a whole bunch of other things. And that can be just from having the card. But here's the thing. All of those benefits that I just mentioned are possible just by holding one card in your wallet. And of course, this is an extra wallet, which we'll get into in a minute. But that card is the American Express Platinum card. And so I have that one right here. So this card here could be the best hotel card. Now, let's take a look. And it also kind of works, is true of the gold card as well, which is also in my wallet. And that one looks like this. At least I have the classic gold right now in my wallet. So there are two programs that American Express has, and they're really interesting. They allow you to still earn hotel points and loyalty. So you get loyalty points as credit as well with those hotel programs. Now, those two programs that American Express has are called the Hotel Collection and Fine Hotels and Resorts. And so basically what this is a glorified portal, but it's kind of a portal on steroids, because you have the power of American Express and their special negotiating, right? So essentially what you get, so the Hotel Collection, we're going to start with first. We're going to deep dive into both the Hotel Collection and Fine Hotels and Resorts, and we're going to compare other hotel cards. So what is it? So it's a program that allows people to book certain properties and get special access to a $100 resort credit for each stay. So it's not each night, it's each stay. Possible free breakfast for two. Some properties do it, some properties don't. So it's not like a guaranteed benefit of the Hotel Collection program, but it's something that you definitely might see in the wild. Now, and you could also get early check-in or late checkout as available. So that one in particular, it's kind of a potential option of the program, but it's not guaranteed, at least specifically in that way. So now here's the thing. You also get access to space available room upgrades. And so in my experience, this seems to be a little bit more hardwired into the reservation process than, say, just a regular having status with that hotel. And we'll get into my experience here in a second. So you get access to the Hotel Collection by holding the Platinum card, the Business Platinum card, the Gold card, or the Business Gold card. So if you have the Gold card and you prepay through the Hotel Collection, you're supposed to get 2x points. Now, in my experience, every once in a while, they'll have special promotions where you get 3x points. But those are only for prepaid stays booked through the portal. And so that's important to understand. Now, if you have the Business Gold card and you use the Hotel Collection, you actually are guaranteed 3x points at all, period, as long as you prepay, again, for these benefits. Now, if you have a Platinum card, if you get 5x, so 5 American Express points per dollar on prepaid hotel stays booked through the portal in general, not just for the Hotel Collection, but the Hotel Collection is specifically what we're talking about today. So let's take a look at my experience. So I just got back literally today from the first real kind of vacation of the summer. So my wife and I went down to West Palm Beach for a few days, and then we also stayed in Fort Lauderdale. So I booked 2 hotels, one in West Palm Beach with the Hotel Collection, and another with in Fort Lauderdale with the Fine Hotels and Resorts program. So let's get into my experience with the Canopy, West Palm Beach downtown. So first of all, I really do love these wooden keys. So I have started a kind of a collection of this. These are really nice. Hopefully that is not breaking the law somewhere. Okay, so I stayed at the Canopy Hilton in West Palm Beach for 2 nights. Now, in order to be able to get access to the Hotel Collection benefits, you do have to stay those 2 nights. So this hotel is actually relatively new, although there are some aspects of the room that didn't really seem like they were too new, but we were assured that it's a new hotel. So since it's a part of Canopy, so the Canopy brand is something that I'm actually becoming very more intrigued with because a lot of their branding it's kind of similar to Kimpton, that the rooms are kind of modern-ish, but kind of artsy in a fun way. And so you also have hardwood floors with rugs. So you're not really expected to get any like full carpet like with a DoubleTree or Hampton Inn. If you know DoubleTree or Hampton Inns, you probably know what I'm talking about when I say that. So there's also, with most canopies, so I've stayed at one in Paris and then one in West Palm Beach, there's pretty much always a rooftop bar of some type, and this time there was a rooftop pool. There's also a stunning lobby restaurant that has a lot of natural light and a lot of green accents. So plants everywhere. It's almost like the Edison or the Edition from Marriott. So now here's the thing. So Canopy has a lot of cool things, but they also have a lot of really interesting localized art kind of accents, right? So in West Palm Beach, there was a lot of kind of like Orange Grove decor and paintings and things like that. It was pretty interesting. Now, so how was my check-in experience? This was interesting. So I was upgraded from a standard king room, which I booked, ahead of time, and I was upgraded to a corner room. And so this corner room had, first of all, it had a decent view of the breakers and the ocean, which was nice. But it had kind of an interesting. It looked to be about the same size as a regular room, but it did have kind of like an opaque window on the side, and that allowed us to have more light in. So it seemed like it was definitely a little bit better. But it was also on a higher floor. So the 13th floor was where the pool was, and we were on the 12th floor, right below the pool deck, and that ended up being kind of a frustrating experience because they had a live DJ until late into the night. Fun fact: West Palm Beach is a very big into the live music scene. So anyway, so they didn't actually know how to process the American Express Platinum card. So I actually ended up paying with the Business Platinum because I had that $60 each quarter or $50 each quarter credit by paying with the card, right? And so I used that, and they scanned it. Like I got a notification that the whole charge came through. And then so for some reason they said that it didn't go through, and so they wanted me to use a different card. But then when I asked them what the problem was, they seemed to think it was a problem with just having a hold charge at all, which isn't a problem. It's, it is what it is. But anyway, essentially, a manager was standing right there, checked, and everything ended up going fine. So I'm not sure what happened with that. But one thing that did happen was that I actually had to prompt them to tell me what the Hotel Collection benefits were. So they're actually supposed to give you a printout of all the benefits. And so with this day, we had $100, and it was specifically for food and beverage credits. And this is great because they have the rooftop bar, they have the lobby, so it was essentially for food and beverage on that thing. Now, so I had $60 in credits through my Diamond status. And so this is something that at this hotel, I was basically told that I did have this benefit. Now, it was $15 per person per night. And so my wife and I were on the reservation, so we had $30 per night, stayed for 2 nights, $60. So we're at $160 in food and beverage credits. So with the $160 in credits, we got 3 drinks at the pool bar. So I went once just with me, got an old fashioned. I went once again with my wife, and so we got 3 drinks in total. Breakfast in the lobby one day, and then breakfast in our room the second day. So that is the extent of how much, and it ended up being very close to that amount. So here's the thing. One of the things I love about Hilton and some other hotels do this. You can actually, not only can you message in the app before you get to your stay, but once you check in, you can actually just text back and forth with someone in the front desk. And they were very instantaneously responsive, which is always nice. In fact, basically, essentially, because of that, we had a stained bed linen issue. So we walked into the room, everything else was nice, but the I guess the comforter on top of the bed had like this huge, literally brown stain right on my wife's side. So that was kind of a big deal. And so we texted them, and they were able to kind of work on that while I was in the pool, kind of, enjoying everything else about the room. So now I used the Business Express or the Business Platinum card to pay for this. So I paid in advance, and I'll get into that in a minute. But the valet was $80 in charges, so $40 each night. And then 60 of that was taken because I used my Business Platinum for the credits. So I'm sorry, 50 and not 60. $60 on the Hilton business card. So yeah, gotta love the Hilton credits. All right, so for the total nights, it was $660. But because I put this on my personal Platinum card, at least the prepaid version, I ended up getting that $200 FHR benefit applied. And so it ended up being essentially $460 in real dollars apart from the annual fee. So that $200 benefit, check, got that. So for that spend, because I put it on my Platinum card, I got 3,300 points off of that charge. Now, I would have received 9,240 Hilton points if I used my Aspire card, so that was 14x, would have earned me that. However, this is the fun part, I actually still earned Hilton loyalty points for my stay. And so for Hilton loyalty, if I had used my Aspire card on this, I get 34 points per dollar, essentially. 20 of that comes just from being a Hilton Diamond member and being a Hilton member in general. It's a combination of that, and then the 14 of it would come from essentially, having the Hilton Aspire card. So essentially, basically, I got 20 points per dollar on top of having the 5 American Express points per dollar for prepaying this booking. Now, so here's the thing: if I did, convert all of my American Express points that I earned from this purchase to Hilton points, I actually would be at 6,600 points. So not too far off from what I would have gotten with the Hilton Aspire, but I'm going to keep those Amex points as Amex points, because I really like Alaska right now, and I'll get into that in a later video. Now, so I did still earn the Hilton loyalty points, which was great. So let's take a look at the actual hotel. So I took some video of the room. We're going to go ahead and watch that now. And then, the lobby was also really, really great. So there was a really wide open space. You can see this kind of on the screen. And then right actually outside the door, there was actually, or right inside the door, there was a water bowl for dogs, because apparently it's a very dog-friendly hotel. And then, of course, the restaurant's very open air and really cool looking. And they also had some bikes and stuff that were available for guests to use. It was a solid experience. It was a great experience. So we're going to pivot now from the the hotel collection now to the fine hotels and resorts. And so for that stay, I stayed at the Conrad in Fort Lauderdale. And so courtesy of Luke's Points and Miles, he really said a lot of good things about this. And so I decided to add this to my now wooden key collection. Love these keys, Hilton. Keep doing you. So here's the thing. So I booked a partial ocean view junior suite king room in advance with the FHR program. Now, I was initially offered an upgrade to a 1-bedroom suite that had what was called limited view. So I actually messaged the hotel directly. This was a couple days before I came in, and I messaged them asking, what is a limited view? And it turns out it's basically essentially a city view. It doesn't really have any sort of water view. So I was like, well, I'd rather have the partial ocean view. So I actually asked to go back to that, and so they upgraded me back to the room that I paid for. But when I actually ended up going to the property to check in, it was actually 12:10, so it was very promptly close to noon, which is supposed to be, a benefit of the FHR. They actually upgraded me to a 1-bedroom partial ocean view suite. And so that was really nice. Now, here's the data points on this. I was only staying one night with me and my wife on checking in on Sunday and checking out on a Monday. So basically, I did that to try to maximize my chances of getting an upgrade at this hotel. I've definitely heard some data points that said that's not usually kind of the norm. So take with it what you will. Now, this stay was $406 for the night. So as part of the FHR credits, I received a check-in at noon, a room upgrade, a $100 property credit. And so this essentially was a property credit. I could have used this for massages at the spa. I could have used this for room charges, for basically anything that I could do at the resort. And so that was kind of a big deal. And then as well as free breakfast for two, so up to $60 would be refunded for breakfast charges at either the grab and go location or the restaurant. However, the restaurant was actually closed when I went there for breakfast, and so grab and go it was. And they also offered a 4 p.m. checkout. They actually offered to go ahead and lock that in when I checked in, but my wife and I needed to be back in Orlando very shortly after, kind of in the morning, so around closer to like 1:45, 2 o'clock. So we definitely knew we were not going to be staying that long, so we declined that. All right, so here's the thing. So when I checked in, the check-in agent actually told me what my diamond benefits were. And then he gave me the envelope that was printed with my name on it that had the FHR benefits. And so essentially, basically, it was, kind of understood that the $50, for the night would go in addition to the $100. Fast forward, that ended up not necessarily being the case with some back and forth. But we'll get to there when we get to there. So how was this stay? So amazing, first of all. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and pause here because I have a video that I did from the hotel room. So we're gonna go back to past Phillip to learn about that hotel room. All right, so this is the mini bar. And right inside here, we have all of the refreshments. Now, they don't have the menu prices. So you have to scan a QR code, so I wonder what that's like. And then we have we have silverware, nice. And then cooktop. And then right in here, we have a full-length mirror. And then this is bathroom 1 of 2. This is a nice half bath for all those guests we're gonna have. And then we're gonna come back out here into the living room. This has what looks to be an interesting, maybe hopefully comfortable couch. And then there's the TV, all that workspace for all that work I'm gonna be doing. And then y'all, this says a partial ocean view. And yeah, there's that building in the way, but this is a nice view. This is awesome. All right, and then we have also the TV, nice little dresser kind of thing here. And then we're gonna go into the bedroom. And so the bedroom here, this bed looks like that Conrad bed that we brought to you from London. And then there's a nice little sitting area here. And then there's a very small balcony with that partial ocean view. So let's go ahead and go into the bathroom now. So the bathroom here has, first of all, lots and lots of amenities. And then we also have a nice little shower with those Mojave Ghost amenities. And then we have this bathtub in here, which I'm definitely going to be using later. And that's going to be the room. Thanks for joining. Right, pretty amazing room. Great view, love the balcony. And honestly, I'm kind of getting a little pampered about having a separate living room and 2 bathrooms, which is kind of nice. Now, my wife and I did have lunch in the lobby Italian restaurant, but we weren't actually able to charge that experience to our room because of a computer error. And that kind of would be a theme throughout the night, but the food was great. They had very fresh calamari, fried calamari, and then I had a pizza. My wife had a Caesar salad, and the dressing was really on point. You could tell they actually used all the things, including anchovies that you need to use in a good Caesar dressing. Now, we had dinner at Takato, which is a kind of Japanese-Korean fusion place. And, well, I kind of was uncertain what it was going to be, but it was one of the best dining experiences of my life. So it has a view of the ocean. It's actually directly across the street from the water. And so we had the option of eating outside, but we decided to eat indoors because air conditioning is nice in Florida. Now, this was a phenomenal. Basically, we had some Brussels sprouts, which you can see on the screen. And then my wife and I actually, so for our main course, first of all, we also got sushi, which we actually ended up eating before we remembered to take any pictures or video, so apologies there. But then my wife actually got the bulgogi, which was quite the experience. You can see here where basically essentially the waitress is actually stirring the raw Wagyu beef into the broth with the mushrooms, and the flavors were incredible. It was an amazing experience. And then I ended up getting the Wagyu short ribs, which were incredible. One of the best things I've ever put in my mouth. It actually came through like as a lettuce wrap, a kind of plate, and so I had to kind of push this little sauce that was really good. It looked like ketchup, but it was really quite delicious. And then put the short rib on there, and then there was like some little kind of carrot, like pickled carrot thing that went on top of that. The whole experience was amazing. So now the pool bar had very friendly service, as well as family-friendly atmosphere in the pool. Actually, when I was sitting at the pool bar, I actually, sat next to one of the computers that the servers were using to check people out. And well, the American Express Gold card was by far the main card that was used, other than room charging. So let's take a look at what I earned for this hotel. So for the $406 stay, I earned 2,030 Amex points. So I gave up the option to earn 5,684 Hilton points. Now, I used my Aspire card for the property fees and the valet charges. So the valet was $60 per night, so that was $60 on top of that. And then the resort charge and the Diamond food and beverage credit didn't cover everything, so I had to pay a small portion of dinner, as well as the pool bar experience and we did a grab and go experience. Basically when we first got to the room. So here's the thing. Let's get into this. So I noticed when they sent me the folio, and this also happened a little bit to a lesser degree at the Canopy as well. So I woke up in the morning and noticed, first of all, that the FHR benefit was attached. So it took off the $100 and resort credits. However, there wasn't anything else. There was no breakfast credit. There was no diamond credit. And so I mentioned it at the front desk when I was there. I said, hey, I noticed that this wasn't there. And basically they said that because I booked through the third party, I didn't have access to my diamond benefits. I pushed back on that a little bit. I said I didn't book through like a regular third party. It was the FHR benefits. And they were like, oh, well, yeah, we see that, but you don't get everything else. And I was like, well, okay, but that's not really what you said when I checked in. Ended up actually having to go back and forth via text message after I left the property, and the manager did one of those, we're sorry that you heard us wrong, but we'll do it just this time. So it did end up being, credited, but, basically it's kind of not a given that those diamond credits or those Hilton Gold food and beverage credits are going to stack with this. So if you're someone that kind of is concerned about that, maybe call the hotel beforehand, because it seems to be judged basically essentially on how the property does it. Now my experience at the Canopy Hotel was kind of a little bit different, because they actually did the diamond credits, the food and beverage credits automatically, but I had to prompt them to give me the food and beverage or the hotel collection $100 food and beverage credit. And so make sure you check your bill, make sure you talk to somebody about it, to make sure that, first of all, they're doing what they said they would do and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So just make sure you're working on that. Now, here's the thing. The whole point of this video is the American Express Platinum card. Is it the most premium hotel card? Now, let's take a look at, and basically the only way that this argument makes sense is with the hotel collection or the fine hotels and resorts. And most of the time, we're talking about Hyatt hotels, Marriott hotels, Hilton hotels, and then there's a couple of Omnis and others like, Intercontinentals or IHG. So there's a couple of IHG, there's a couple of, the Omnis worked in. But here's the thing, you get these benefits no matter which property. As long as it's a member of the fine hotels and resorts or the hotel collection, you get those benefits. At least you're entitled to those benefits. And so this basically is a great way to kind of explore a lot of different hotel chains without having to lock yourself down to a certain ecosystem. And in some ways, you can actually benefit from extending out your existing loyalty benefits with this program. So I'm a fan of Hilton's, despite the fact that I also carry the Ritz-Carlton card, which is also in my wallet. So have the Ritz-Carlton card. You've probably heard me talk about it once or twice. Now, I actually prefer Hilton's though, despite the fact that I have that. So both of these hotels were Hilton. I have diamond status with my Hilton Aspire card, which is right here. So I have these premium hotel cards, but even if I didn't, I would definitely try to book it through these special programs, because you get access to so many different things that you just wouldn't have access to before. You have access to, the food and beverage credits. You get access to free Wi-Fi at certain properties that don't automatically give it to you. You have access to free upgrades, late checkout, all the standard things that people want out of, hotel loyalty. You get that with this program. And so these are actually, the experience and benefits of using Amex's portal, at least the two different collections, allowed me to expand my stay into something that's more fun and exploratory around me. So because we had those food and beverage credits, I was able to go and, enjoy some things at the hotel bar that I wouldn't have necessarily tried, right? I got to do something that was like the Wagyu short ribs at the hotel in the Fort Lauderdale was $70. And that's something that I probably wouldn't have gotten had I not known, that I had those credits. And so it's kind of a fun way to do more and have more fun with everything around you. So there are real benefits to using this program. And Hilton allows those to stack on top of the benefits I get through Amex and Hilton. Again, that can be different based on what property you're looking at. So I would definitely call the property and make sure those stack. Otherwise, just expect to only use one or the other. And so, that could be an issue, right? So that's definitely worth considering. So here's the thing. What if I go through a different hotel chain? So the magic of this program is that I'm allowed to attach my loyalty number to any of these, right? So if I stay at, say, the Intercontinental in Washington, D.C. through the Fine Hotels and Resorts program, I'm able to earn IHG points, and those elite nights go towards status, right? And so basically it's something that, like, if I don't want to worry about, building status in multiple hotel chains, I can get those benefits and still kind of work towards things on my own. So I essentially get to have my cake and eat it too, right? I get to focus on one hotel loyalty program, but then if I don't really have good status with other programs, I can get essentially what I want out of that status with this Fine Hotels and Resorts or the Hotel Collection program. So this allows me to still earn points with those systems while also getting nice perks that I wouldn't otherwise have access to. Now, this program allows me to focus on one hotel chain, right? So Hilton is my primary hotel chain, and then Marriott's kind of a distant second, and then if I want to stay at Hyatt or IHG, pretty much I'm looking for the Hotel Collection or Fine Hotels and Resorts. Now let's take a look at the Platinum card here. So what are the stats, right? So it has a $695 annual fee, but it does have a lot of credits. So I earned a 125,000 point sign-up bonus, or upgrade bonus more specifically, from my first gold card after spending $6,000 over the course of 6 months. It earns 5 points per dollar with any airline purchase, so it can be direct or through the portal, and then 5 points per dollar on prepaid online bookings through the travel portal, and then 1 point per dollar on everything else. So here's the thing, there's a lot of credits, but the easiest ones for me to get immediate value from the $200 Uber credits that shows up in your Uber account and Uber Cash every month. Always use that. $240 in entertainment benefits. I sign up for Disney Plus, Peacock, New York Times, and Wall Street Journal. So yeah, full value from that. The $200 FHR benefit, check, use that. The $200 flight credits, check, have got benefits from that. And then I also have used a $50 Saks credit for the year to get some kitchen supplies. So I'm only a couple months into owning this card, and I'm well ahead based on use of these credits. Now, you also get access to Clear, which I used last month, and then Lounge Access, and then Walmart Plus is regularly used in my household too. So essentially based off these credits, I'm sitting pretty if you subscribe to that kind of math. So what other kind of cards do I have? Let's take a look at the Hilton Aspire card. So this card has a $400 resort fee or resort credit, $200 every 6 months, as well as $200 in flight credits. So that's $50 each quarter. And this one's actually wide open. Any charge with an airline will code and will get reimbursed. And this has a $550 annual fee. Now, the superpower of this card is it comes preloaded with a free night award, and the Hilton free night awards are, as long as there's a standard room available, standard reward room available, then you can use that free night award. So there's not really essentially a cap as long as there's a standard room available. Now, you also get Diamond status, which is Hilton's highest status. If you take a look at this video here, you'll see that Diamond status gets you a lot overseas, like a lot. It was definitely worth having. Now, I've also stayed mostly at Hilton, so this is kind of the one that gets the most use. I also have the Hilton business card, which I'm going to be canceling next month. Now I also have the Ritz-Carlton card here. So this was formerly the Boundless card until January, and now it is the Ritz-Carlton card. So this card was obtained through a product change with Chase. I had the Marriott Boundless card for a year. I had a $9,500 credit limit with it, so I moved $1,000 in credit line from my Amazon card to this card, and then did that product change after I held it for a year. So this one has a $450 annual fee and an 85,000 point free night award after your card member anniversary, as well as a $300 travel credit. And so I've used this for airline fee incidentals. I've heard that it can be used for other things, but I haven't really had a chance to explore with that yet. So you also get Marriott Gold status, which really doesn't get you anything. You don't even get free breakfast out of it for that. So you get also unlimited lounge access for all users. This gets you access to Chase Sapphire lounges as well as Priority Pass for all authorized users, at least in its current form. So there's a lot of interesting things. Now, I'm also going to talk about the Bonvoy Brilliant card. I don't have that card, but the Bonvoy Brilliant comes with a $650 annual fee. It earns kind of poorly. It earns 6 Marriott points per dollar on Marriott purchases. It earns 3 points per dollar on flights and dining, and it also earns 2 points per dollar on everything else. Now you get Platinum Elite status, which isn't the highest status, but you do get free breakfast with it, which is nice. It also comes with a dining credit of $300, and that comes in, I think it's like a certain amount every month. Now that also comes with an 85,000 point free night award. So definitely, if you want to pay $650 for that card, there are ways to get value out of it. In my opinion, it's easy to get value out of the Ritz-Carlton card, at least for me, and so that's why that's the one I hold. But also because I had the Chase card last year, I'm not eligible for any Amex sign-up bonuses through Marriott until next February. So I gotta wait. So let's sum it up. So the American Express Platinum card allows me to compound my loyalty benefits with Hilton at certain properties. Again, your mileage may vary, but it also allows me to enjoy top tier benefits at other hotel chains as well. And so if there is a property that's a Hilton or an IHG property that just makes more sense for me given where I'm going, then I have that option. I have that freedom. And here's the thing, honestly, with this card, for Marriott stays, I would much rather earn 5 Amex points per dollar than the 6 Marriott points per dollar I would get using this card. So here's the thing, this isn't even my best card for Marriott stays. So yeah, it's pretty much just for lounge access. Now the Aspire card is a little more of a trade-off. That 14 points per dollar for Hilton is kind of hard to give up, right? I would have earned 14 points per dollar with that card, but 5 Amex points could become 10 Hilton points. So I'm really only losing out on 4 Hilton points per dollar if you do that math that way. So I don't have any other hotel loyalty card at this time. So essentially, in my mind, the Amex Platinum card could be the best program, depending on how your experience goes with fine hotels and resorts in the hotel collection. I've definitely seen some positives. I've definitely seen some negatives. But it could be interesting because it gives you that freedom. So if you're someone who knows that you're going to be traveling, at least flying, and you know that you're not really want to be tied down to a hotel loyalty program, or you know that you might want to expand into other hotel loyalty programs other than, say, Hilton, this could be your best premium hotel travel card. But anyway, I know that you probably guys have some emotions, maybe some feelings and some thoughts about what I've said in the comments below. Go ahead and drop those, please. And anyway, thanks so much for watching, for listening. Please go ahead and once again, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm well on my march to 1,000 subscribers. And well, are you going to be number 1,000? Let's find out. Thanks so much again. And I can't wait to see you again until next time.